Welcome. In this video I'm going to show you how to use SmartArt, which is a function in Microsoft Word and in Microsoft PowerPoint that allows you to create a graphic element to show information to your reader in a visual way. And so the first thing you need to do is open up a document in Microsoft Word or a PowerPoint slide. And then at the very top, you'll see the home ribbon. You need to click on Insert. And then over here will be SmartArt, usually with a green arrow and a little text box. And when you click on it, you will see a list of different options for categories of designs that you can create. And so this is actually a very important first step, is that you look at your information and you determine what am I trying to show, and then to match that up with an appropriate graphic. So at the top here, you've got list, which is just listing information that is all relevant to each other somehow, but there's not necessarily a sequence or an order that it needs to be in. And sometimes you can also categorize those lists. Then you have process here, which is usually showing something that's a linear process from point A to point B, and step 1, step 2, step 3. And you're showing that sequence of information. Then you have a cycle, which is more of a circular sequence, something that would repeat once you get to the end of it. And then you have the hierarchy. So this is like you would think of a hierarchy in an organization. You have the leader at the top, people below that person, and so on. So if you're going to organize information by importance or level, you can use hierarchy. Relationship is very flexible, and it's trying to show some type of relationship between the items that you would include in the graphic, but there's lots of different ways that that can be represented. So for example, balancing information, how information is clouding around, how information comes together to have a singular output, how one piece of information impacts other pieces of information, like widgets turning, how things converge, or how things divide and separate, and so on. Then you have the matrix, which usually is on a continuum or a spectrum, and so you'll have two ends, and information can be at either end and not be the same. And then you have the pyramid structure, and a lot of people like to use this just for looks, for fun, but it's actually trying to convey some information. So the regular basic pyramid, trying to show that foundation at the bottom building up toward the top. So if you've seen Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what you start with is the foundation base at the bottom, and then you work your way up to the top to achieve the pinnacle. And then you, of course, have the reverse. And then some picture options that are primarily set up to incorporate pictures. And then there are some more Office designs online that you can download. So the first step is figuring out, what do I need? What am I looking for? What am I trying to show? And if, for example, you're looking to show a relationship, like one thing is inside of another thing is inside of another thing, you could use a stacked Venn diagram here, and you pick it and you click OK. And it will put that, usually a rather big size of it, you can always shrink it down later, on your document or slide. And then you'll notice here at the top, they usually give you other options as well. So this is a separated Venn, some overlap, this is overlapping completely, some overlap moving next to each other, so not everything overlaps, and again, the traditional Venn diagram. And then you also have some options about styles, and I would recommend to try to keep flat graphics, so one color, two color, but they're not like shaded, they're not trying to show 3D, because as you can see here, this is actually kind of hard to see, and particularly for people who are colorblind, this might be very hard for them to distinguish any difference between those. whereas at least you've got lines, white lines here, showing the difference. And then they apparently get worse. If you look at the different 3D options here, I would just stay away from all of those. Again, look for your flat 2D options. Avoid shading generally, and make sure there's enough distinction between the colors and the lines that people can see the differences. You can also change the colors, and this can help as well. Make it more vibrant, easier to read, and they have usually a bunch of different options for you to choose from. And of course, if you are formatting your shapes, you can also choose whatever colors you would like independently. So if you can't find what you're looking for, you can go through one at a time, go up to format, go up to shape fill, and say, these are the colors that I want. Then where it says text, you can type in your information, usually not very much info because there's usually not very much text space here, so you want to keep it as short as possible for most of these designs. And then overall, you can make it smaller, make it bigger within the constraints of your document. And so that is a way to more visually represent your information. And again, it's important, just like with a graph, if you are choosing to use a pie graph, you have to have percentage of a whole information that you're putting on there. That's the same thing here, that the information that you're providing needs to match the visual display that you're showing.